Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's your brother, Tariq Toure. Thank you all so much for having me, for the beautiful students and scholars and the staff at Al-Fatih Academy. Inshallah, I'll just share a bit with you on this blessed Friday, a short khatira, inshallah, some of my thoughts and reflections within this month and within this time that we're in, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa man tabi'ina lahum ihsani ila yawmiddin. So, alhamdulillah, I'm happy that we got some time to share and talk briefly about just this month and what this month represents. As we all know, this is Black History Month. And although we cannot put all history that is related to Black history in one month, we attempt to reflect on some of the aspects of journeys of folks who are Black, particularly Black Muslims in this land. And so the first thing I'll share is that my father, he became Muslim because he came across a book. It's right behind me. It's called the Autobiography of Malcolm X. And so a lot of y'all have probably talked a lot about Malcolm X within this time because he's somebody that's so well known to our community and so well known to people all across the world. Well, a long time ago, way before any of you all were born, he was a soldier in a place called Vietnam. And while he was there, he used to read a lot of books because he was a guard and he used to have to be on post. And one day they got some books from America, and on top was that book right there behind me over my shoulder, the Autobiography of Malcolm X. And so he said he read it, and he said when he got to the very end of it, he knew that he was Muslim. And then after that, when he got back home to America, he searched for the first place that he could find where he could, take a shahada and become Muslim. And so that's how myself am Muslim now, being born Muslim, and how so many people where I come from, in the city that I come from, either have grown to know about Islam because of people like my father, other brothers and sisters who became Muslim and decided to teach other people about Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. So one of the best parts of his book that I really enjoy reading all the time is when he was invited to go to Hajj. And so during his trip to Hajj, he decided that he would stop at some other places. And so one of the places that he decided to go to was Egypt. And so that was the first place he went to. So when he's getting on the plane, mind you, Malcolm X is about 6'4", 6'5". He's a very tall person. When he's getting on the plane, he realizes that when he sits down, everybody is looking at him. Not only is he a national icon and so many people know him all around the country and around the world, but he's also very tall. He sticks out like a sore thumb. And so the people were just really amazed to see him. And so during the flight, he has an attendant come to him and say, hey, the pilot wants to speak to you. And so he says he got up and he walked down the aisle. And when he got into the cockpit, he saw that the pilot was Black like him. And then he did ask, hey, what do you want me, why do you want me here? And the pilot says, I wanted to give you greetings and say salam and, thank you for being aboard. And he wanted to show him the cockpit and everything. And then the co-pilot, he said the co-pilot was darker than him. He looks more even Black like him. And so it was the first time he himself had seen people who are Black folks that flying planes. Now, he said that he had been flying around giving speeches and doing work and helping out people for years now. He's been on 1,000 flights. But this was the first time he saw people, not only were they Muslim, but they were Black, and they were happy to see him. And it was the first time of him actually being in the plane in the cockpit. Now, he says in that section, he says, I knew that Allah was true. And we don't want to just say that, he believed that just because people were Black like him or they were Muslim like him or he was in an airplane or he got to see and look out of a cockpit. But what that meant was that he immediately felt the brotherhood of Islam. He immediately felt the brotherhood of Islam, the community of Islam, because he was going on his way to Hajj, and on his way to Hajj and stopping on a visit in Egypt, he realized that the Muslim community would be so welcoming to him. And so what I challenge you all with is how much you can work to make sure that you are being as welcoming as those pilots and co-pilots and the attendants that were happy to see Malcolm X. Now, he was a national icon, so that could have played a part in it as well, because they would deem him as special. But we have an opportunity, and a much greater opportunity, because we have people who are black around us, or black Muslims around us, who they're not Malcolm X. They may never be like Malcolm X. They may never be this great and amazing people that get all this attention. They might just be regular folks. And so, as Muslims, we're supposed to treat the regular folks around us, with the same love and care and happiness to see them as those pilots that were on a plane with Malcolm X. And so the next thing I want to share is a story about when the Muslims and the Sahaba were trying to take over a fort. And so they were trying to take over a fort called Khaybar. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he sent 2 to 3 different generals to go and try to take over the fort. And they couldn't take it. Every time they came back and said, we just couldn't get through its defense. And so after the second or third person, Sahaba, comes back and says, I wasn't able to be successful in taking it over, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that tomorrow I'm going to give the standard, I'm going to give the responsibility of taking over this fort to someone who Allah destroys people with. And so that night, all the Sahaba went to sleep, the army went to sleep, and all of them were very excited because, maybe they were thinking, maybe he's going to choose me. I'm going to be the one to lead this. And so when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wakes up, and they all get up and they get ready, and they're trying to see, they're all like, they're thinking about who's he going to pick to lead this mission. And so finally he says, where is Ali radiallahu anhu? And so he picks Ali, his cousin, and he tells Ali, you take the fort. And so they set out, and there were doors to the fort that for that entire time they just could not get open to be able to get inside and do what they needed to do. And so finally Ali, he goes to the door and he rips the door off its hinges with his bare hands, and then he takes the door and throws it like a frisbee. Now, some narrations say that when that door hit the ground, that it took almost 8 men to pick up and move. And finally, they actually take the fortress. Now, why is this story significant? Now, as I said before, we may not meet somebody who's like Malcolm X, but we still should treat them special. Now, we also understand that we might not be a Sahaba. We're definitely not going to be a Sahaba with Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and getting picked to lead a great mission that's going to be told in stories over and over again, like I'm telling you now. But we may choose to do the very simple things that Allah asks of us, and that is care for our brothers and sisters. Every day you wake up, you can choose yourself to serve and help and assist and be there for and care for your brothers and sisters, your classmates. And if they happen to be black, they happen to be African American, they happen to be different from you, and they happen to be sometimes treated badly by others, then you can choose yourself to support them and be there for them, inshallah. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that Allah said that, he said, وَمَنْ يَصَرَ عَلَى مُعْسِرٍ يَصَرَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. He said, whoever helps somebody who is experiencing difficulty, who's having a hard time, right, Allah will help them in this world and the next. So inshallah, I pray that you all continue to work hard, support each other, and experience life with each other in a good way. And I pray that you all are good to your parents, teachers, and all those around you. I hope you have a good time. And inshallah, Jumu'ah Mubarak. And thank you so much for having me, Al Fatih Academy, once again. Assalamu alaikum.